Welcome as we continue on our journey from Pesach to Shavuot, from the first grains to the first fruits, from that narrow place from that narrow place into the wilderness, from liberation to revelation. And so let's take some breaths. Settle ourselves in this present moment, because it is these present moments that we count. So ground yourself in the here and the now as we prepare to take the next step on our journey. And so we bless. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al sifrat ha'omer. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign spirit of the universe, who brings us holiness with the mitzvot and connects to us with the counting of the Omer. Hayom, arba'a asar yom, shehem shnei shavuot ba'omer. Today is 14 days, which is 2 weeks of the Omer. Malchut shebegevura, a day of majesty in a week of strength. And so we count 2 weeks, the end of this week of strength, and it's a day of majesty. And last week I actually copped to the fact that majesty, that malchut, sphira, did not resonate with me. I didn't know what to do with it. Now, the thing about publicly admitting something like that is it does make you think about it more, because when it's on my own, I can just ignore it for the whole time of the Omer if I want. But now that I'm sharing and teaching, I don't want to come to you each week and say, I still don't know what's happening here. So thank you. And when I thought this week and this day about where I could go with this, I thought about how there were years that instead of majesty, I translated it as leadership. And quite frankly, after the 2016 election, I didn't really want to think about the aspects of leadership. And I went back to majesty. But this year, again, maybe because I'm actively sharing it with all of you, the aspect of teaching came into it, which obviously resonates with me very deeply. And the fact that maybe the majesty and the leadership comes from being able to bring in all the other sphirot and all the teachings that came with the container that carried it through, and finding the teaching for that time to impart. And this week's teaching did bring something new. It actually brought an appreciation for the strength and the push and the pull of time. You know, we start this journey on the second day of Pesach, And we're just, flush with the liberation from Egypt. We've gotten out, done with slavery, oppression. We're moving out of the narrowness. And we finished last week with the first week, we finish with the crossing of the sea and truly making that separation from that time, coming actually through the birth canal, from that narrowness into the expanse, and taking those first steps into the wilderness. And it was this week of strength, that the work really begins. We've celebrated our liberty. Now, we need to settle into the journey, not knowing what really lies ahead, but knowing there's a ways to go. And with the end of the second week today, we mark another milestone of time. For we're marking the end of the month of Nisan, the biblical first month of the year, the month that brings spring and Pesach. And quite frankly, we need to acknowledge this year, isolation. But we're finding our way through, because that's what we do. And that is the point of the Omer on many levels. So we will prepare in these next days to welcome the new month of Iyar and take the strength that we've gained from this last week to support us for whatever it is that lies ahead. So I end with another breath. And I remind you all once again, it's a process, but we've made it through 2 weeks. And there's more days of majesty, days of leadership, days of learning, days of teaching to look forward to. Laila Tov, and I'll see you tomorrow.